Good evening. My name is Tom Kalinowski. I'm the Director of Technology and Operations at Colonial Intermediate Unit 20. This is Tech Tips number 78. In today's episode, we're going to go over how you can use the application Mentimeter as a formative assessment tool in the classroom. We all know that teaching this year in 2021 and 2020 is very, very different than it normally is. Many of us are delivering instruction remotely. We might be using Zoom or some other form of video conferencing to host our classes. As teachers, we've all probably been in a situation where you're going through a lesson, maybe 5-10 minutes, and you get to a point where you want to verify that everyone's understanding, and you just throw it out there. You're like, does everyone understand? Is everyone on board? And it's complete silence. So what I'm going to show you is how you can use Mentimeter to not only engage the students in your class, but to verify that they're comprehending what you're teaching. And then that immediate feedback will give you the information you need onto whether you need to review the content again or whether you can proceed on with the next topic. So let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is go to mentimeter.com. That'll bring up this website here. And you're going to want to click on sign up. Okay. The easiest way in most cases is just to click on sign up with Google. So you can go ahead and click on that. You can click on your Google account there. Okay. And it's just going to ask you a couple of questions. So we're going to click on education here. And we're going to select the role that best describes us. In most cases, that's probably going to be teacher K through 12. Okay. And then it asks what your main goals are for Mentimeter. This is really just for informational purposes. So you could click on training or educating, insight and feedback. I think that's applicable for me. You could choose whatever is applicable for you there. And go ahead and click on save. And then for now, we're just going to focus on the features that are available with the free subscription. So you can go ahead and click on continue with free. Once you do that, you're presented with a page that says, let's start creating. And you are given a couple of different options there. Now, some of these options might work for you. In other situations, it might not work that well for you. So in our particular case, I'm doing this particular training for an alternative education school that we have. And a formative assessment with open questions might not be the best option to go with. Those open questions are going to allow for open answers, and I'm sure you have kids in your class that might use the opportunity to be expressive in their answers and maybe end up putting things up on the screen that you might not want there. You guys, you all know the students that you teach better than anyone else, so you certainly know what might be appropriate in your class or in your school. But in this particular case, we are not going to go with open questions. We're going to go with maybe we'll ask them to scale some things, or maybe we'll ask them to answer a couple of questions as we're going through the lesson. So in this particular case, we're going to click on Start from Scratch. Okay. Now that brings up a interface. It's titled My First Presentation. So the first thing we can do is we can name the presentation here. So in this case, let's go pre-algebra period 4. You can name that whatever is appropriate for you. Okay. And the next thing we need to do is start building our assessment. So as we start to consider the question types for our presentation here, let's go back to what exactly is included in the free plan. So you can see in the free plan, you can have any number of students in your class, which is good. You could create any number of presentations, which is great. The limiting factor, though, for the free edition is you get up to 2 question slides and up to 5 quiz slides. So you might be asking yourself, what's the difference between questions and quizzes? So when we go back to our interface here, here's some questions like multiple choice, scales, etc. Or there is quiz questions. So multiple choice might be a question like, how well are you understanding the content so far? And maybe one option is not at all, okay, or I'd get 100 on the next quiz. There's no right or wrong answer per se, nor can you mark a right or wrong answer. This type of slide it's just a question, and the students in your class will be able to provide you feedback. So in some cases, that might be appropriate. And so you get two types of those questions in the free version of this product. The other type of question is a quiz type question. So we could go select an answer, and here you can see you could type in your question, type in a couple answers. So it could be, what color is the grass? So maybe the option is green, pink, and blue. And where we typed in green, we could put a check mark in there that would denote that green is the correct answer. So again, you would use this type of question or quiz question when there is only one right answer and you want to get a feel for whether the kids or the students are actually understanding the content by posing a quiz type question to them. So let's get started with a quiz question. So my son's in a pre-algebra class right now, and they're going over things like slope and y-intercept and such. So maybe you were doing the same thing, and you wanted to make sure that they were able to understand what part of the equation slope is. So if I typed in, see if you guys remember this. So y equals mx plus b. Okay, and so our options could be it could be y, it could be m, x, and by default there's 3. We're going to add another option. We're going to throw in b there. Okay, and who remembers what the slope is equal to? So if you said m, that's correct. So we're just going to throw a check in there designating that m is in fact the correct answer. If there were multiple allowable answers to a question, you could just throw a check mark in those corresponding boxes as well. But in this case, we're just going to do the one. You can put some images in here as well. Okay? You could specify how long they have to answer the question. So this is going to depend on your class, whether you want to award more points for those kids that get it quick, or whether you even want to post who's getting questions right or wrong at all. In our particular case, we are not going to award more points for those that get the question correct quicker. Some other fun things you could do is you could choose your quiz music, and there's a couple of samples there. You could hit play and listen to them, and you could throw a check in whichever one you want. And do you want a leaderboard or not? For my particular case, I am not going to do a leaderboard. But if you wanted to do one, you could simply say add leaderboard. And what that does is you can see it throws a slide in over there, and that would keep track of who had the most points at the end of the formative assessment you were giving. But in our particular case, we're not going to do that. So we're going to scroll down here and click on remove leaderboard. Okay, now that we remove that leaderboard, let's go ahead and add another question. This time we're going to insert a picture into the question. Okay, so we're going to add a slide. We're going to type in select answer. And we're going to type in identify the slope of this line. Okay, let's go ahead and grab an image. Okay, we'll click upload. It says click here. Go to my downloads. Go to my desktop, and then click on this screenshot here. Okay, we're going to go ahead and click on save. All right, so that image is there. It does not show up here, but if you read it here, it says this slide image appears in your audience's devices. So that will show up, okay? And so we're going to throw a couple options there. So let's say we have a slope of 2/3, 1, and let's go 3/2. And the answer to that one is going to be 2/3. And we're going to scroll down here and we're going to click remove leaderboard again. Okay, and the last slide that we're going to create in this example is not a quiz this time. It's just going to be a scale. So for the question or the title of the slide, we're just going to type in slopes. Okay, and the statement, we're just going to put one statement in here. So let's get rid of the other two. Okay, and let's type a statement. I am able to identify the slope of a line with ease. It would help if I could spell. Okay, and we have disagree and agree, and we have values of 1 to 5. If you wanted to change it from strongly disagree to strongly agree, you could certainly do so. And we're not going to allow them to skip any of the statements. And that's it. So that's all we're going to do there. So now we have our presentation that we're going to use for formative assessment all set. We do have 3 different slides here. So we have, we're asking them to identify the slope in a multiple choice question. We have another multiple choice question that has a picture in it. And then we have a scale question. So in the top right hand corner here, there's a preview button. Before we click on preview, let's click on slide number 1 first. And now let's go ahead and click on preview. One note, you might want to disable the music, especially when previewing. It's a little distracting and really doesn't lend itself nicely to recording a screencast here. So we're just going to make sure that that music is disabled for all of these, and it looks like it is. So let's try that again. Let's click on preview. That's much better. So on the left-hand side here, we see a representation of what the teacher will see, and on the right-hand side, we see a representation of what the students will see. Okay, so they can go ahead and type their name, and they can click Join Quiz. On the left-hand side, you'll see on the teacher's side, you'll see that there's the number 1 showing that there's 1 student currently connected. You'll wait till all of your students are connected and you'll know what that number is. Okay, and then on your device, you'll go ahead and click Enter, just like it says. Okay, and it has a countdown. We can see it's counting down on the right here. And actually, this is a good lesson here. We see that we must have missed a statement here. It does say y equals mx plus b, but it does not say what is the slope in this equation. So let's see what we did wrong there. Okay, let's go here. So we do have y equals mx plus b. I simply just omitted that. So what we're going to do is we're going to just add that right here. So identify the slope, or what represents the slope in this equation. There we go, much better. So let's go ahead and click on preview again. Okay, let's get started. Okay, we can see the student's device that says y equals mx plus b. What represents the slope in this equation? So the student could click on M, and it says, let's see how you did. On the screen, it would say 1 person got it right. In this particular case, it doesn't show who got it right. The individual student, though, does know that they, in fact, did get it right. Okay, we can go ahead and move on to the next question. So question 2 of 2 says identify the slope of this line. And in this case, we do see that picture. And for those of you that remember to identify the slope, how many does it go up? 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3. So it would be 2/3. We're going to go ahead and click on that. Okay, in this case, while the results are loading there, the amount of time that we specified is probably a little quick. So I would, in my situation here, I would probably assign a little bit more time for the students to answer the question. But again, we can see that the question was right. It says the correct answer here. Okay, and the last slide that we created was how comfortable they are identifying the slope of a line, or I am able to identify the slope of a line with ease. So the students can select anything from strongly agree to strongly disagree. Okay, so if they rated it a 2 there and clicked on submit, okay, the teacher would get a nice graph of where everyone self-identifies themselves as being. And then this information can be used by the teacher to identify how well the students are comprehending the material being presented. Do we need to slow down a little bit? Do we just need to cover one particular item a little bit more? Or can we move right on to the next item? Okay, and if you click on next here, just says you've reached the end of the presentation. So let's go ahead and click on the X in the top right-hand corner. Let's run through this for real now. Once we're done teaching the students about slope in this case, we could go ahead and click on present. Okay, it says the quiz will not have a winner. In this particular case, I don't want a winner, so I'm going to click on present anyway. Okay, and imagine my computer is connected to a projector or screen in the room. So it gives the students the direction. So it tells them to go to menti.com and use that code up there. Okay, we could go ahead and click on present. This is just a warning that there is no leaderboard. In our particular case, that's okay. Okay, we see, so this computer would be connected to a projector in the classroom, and it tells the students to go to menti.com. So we'll type in menti.com. Okay, and we're going to type in that code 3070358 and click submit. Let's try that again. 3070358. Click submit. Okay, you can have them type in their names or just keep the default there. We're going to click on join quiz. The teacher is now going to see that how many students are in this session. So we're good to go, and it says press enter to start that countdown. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, we see that there's no max points there for answering the question quickly, which is okay in our case. And now the student's going to answer the question. So if the student selects X, for instance, okay, we could see it's going to say, let's see how you did, loading result. And once all of the students in the class answer the question, the individual student will see whether they got the answer wrong or not. And the teacher will also be able to see how many people got it wrong, how many people got it right, and that would tell them whether or not they need to cover that particular item a little bit more. And if most of them got it wrong, you could go into it right there. So y equals mx plus b, remember the m is equal to the slope there. Okay, we can go ahead to the next slide. You could either hit the right arrow button, or you could go down here and click down the right arrow button here. Okay, we see it says question 2 of 2. Let's go ahead and click enter. Okay, identify the slope of this line. Okay, and let's go with 2 over 3. Okay, let's see how you did. Okay, and we see that one person got it right, and the student on their own device sees that they have the correct answer there. Okay, and the last example, I am able to identify the slope of a line with ease. So we're going to ask the students 1 to 5. Let's go with a 4 there and click submit. And then the teacher would be able to see, again, what the pulses of the classroom, how everyone is comprehending the slope of the line. So that's an example of one tool. There's many tools out there, but Mentimeter is one tool that you can use for formative assessment. I really believe that formative assessment, especially today when teachers have so little in-person time with the students in their classes. I mean, many students, at least in this region, are only going to school maybe 2 times a week. The other days it's asynchronous learning. We're just trying to make sure everyone's socially distancing and keeping all of the students safe. We want to make sure as we're teaching that the students are actually comprehending what we're teaching. I know we're all doing the best we can, and we're throwing a lot of information at them, and a lot is expected of the teachers, a lot is expected of the students, and I think that a free tool like this could provide a lot of data to the teacher and help the teacher identify whether the students are comprehending the data, and again, whether they need to take a step back and cover something again, or whether they can move on to that next topic. So I hope you found that tip valuable. If you have any questions, certainly put them in the chat below. Also, make sure to click the subscribe button and the bell below. That way you'll be alerted as soon as I post new content just like this. I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day. Bye.